Hello, and welcome to Rethinking Our History, where we seek to shed a light on events that have been forgotten and covered up, and to make us all question how much do we really know about our history? I'm Felicia.
And I'm Ian, and we are here to reveal all the sordid details of history that have been swept under the rug. Get ready to get angry, be curious, and maybe have a laugh or two as we rethink our history.
Hello, friends.
Hey guys.
Thanks for joining us for another lesson, number 22. Kids here playing, screaming in the background. You know the deal. Warning for this week, we're going to be covering a serial killer today. I know this isn't a true crime podcast, but it is a history podcast, and crime is part of history.
Yeah.
There will be talk of the death of several children this week, so if you can't handle that, we understand, and we'll see you guys next week. And I know you're really probably sitting there going, what the fuck do you mean I asked for it? Well, first, let's get the business out of the way. If you found us here first and are a fan of the paranormal, give our flagship show, The Paranormal Lovers, a listen. Over 100 episodes about everything from our very own Sasquatch Boojum to the Philadelphia experiment.
Boojum.
Which, if you... There's a new podcast in this area called Ghost in the Mountains. They're based out of Asheville. What is it? Caleb and Austin. I think that's their names. Ooh, sorry if I got that wrong. I've only listened to like a couple so far, but
a couple of them.
But they're one, like episode 5, I think, was Boojum, and they like did some research and like talked to people about it. So
that's cool.
It was really fascinating to hear like a more in-depth coverage of that. So you guys could give them a listen. Like I said, they're out of Asheville, so another Appalachian spooky pod.
Yeah.
We will be at Hotlanta Paranormal Convention March 14th through the 16th on Lanier Island on Lake Lanier. Tickets are linked in the show notes, and I recommend staying in Gainesville if you're brown. Forsyth County is not a safe place for black people, so stay woke. If you would be so kind, please give us a follow and share on social media, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. You can also subscribe to our YouTube. All of these can be found by searching for the Paranormal Lovers in the search bar. If you would like to support the making of these shows, we have a couple of ways to do so. First, we have a Patreon at patreon.com/paranormal lovers, where for $5 a month, you get early access to unedited videos of both shows, as well as stickers and other swag. Secondly, we have a merch store at theparanormallovers.threadless.com. We still have our hurricane relief designs available. The proceeds from them will go to local organizations like Beloved Asheville. I also recommend giving them a follow on Instagram. These people are building houses, delivering tents and heaters, fixing damaged houses from the hurricane. And just the other day, they went to Kentucky to deliver heaters for folks affected by the floods there.
Heaters and generators and all kinds of shit.
Like, guys, these people don't fucking slow down.
Okay? No, they don't.
They really don't slow down.
They're doing the maker's work.
So we need to support organizations like this now more than ever. Finally, if you have a personal story or a topic request, email us at theparanormallovers@yahoo.com. Give me a second. It's always like running uphill when I go through that business. We need to record a clip of that
so you
and
can
just
clip
insert
it on.
that in.
Yeah.
Because that's a lot. Mm-hmm. All right. Now, if you listen to the last episode about Ida, you'll remember me mentioning that during her time in Chicago, another infamous person was also operating in Chicago. But what this man was doing could not have been more different from what Ida was attempting to do. While Ida was protesting and fighting for equal rights, Herman Webster Mudgett, aka H.H. Holmes, was torturing and murdering people in his building known internationally as the Murder Castle.
Oh, the house.
The Murder Castle.
They made the movie The House after that, after his house.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's a horror movie, and it's like completely fictional, but like they kind of took inspiration from H.H. Holmes.
Well, you know me, I love Supernatural, and I'll reference it any chance I get. I will talk about it in here. They actually do an episode with H.H. Holmes's spirit,
Yeah.
where they had to like cement his spirit in a thing. And I was like, when I did this research, I was like,
Man, what a mustache.
listen, I kept looking at him going, why is he so fucking cute though? Like he's cute. And I'm like, ew, gross. Stop being attractive.
Right.
Why are they always attractive?
I don't know.
Because my God, this man, Herman Mudgett, was born in Gilmanton, New Hampshire on May 16th, 1861. He was the third child of Levi Horton Mudgett and Theodate Page Price, both of whom were descendants of the first English settlers. His older siblings were Ellen and Arthur, and he had one younger sibling, Henry. Herman attended Phillips Exeter Academy, then Gilmanton Academy, where he graduated at the age of 16. Allegedly, Levi, while a skilled farmer, trader, and house painter, was a violent drunk and would beat his children. Things at school were no better. Herman was bullied for being smart. In one incident, Herman was forced to stand in front of a human skeleton while its hands were placed on his face. Herman claims that while he was initially scared of the experience, he soon got over his fears and began a fascination with death. What is let's see if you know this or not. What is the first one is one of the 3 parts of a serial killer according to the McDonald triad?
I don't know.
He soon began dissecting animals.
Oh, yeah.
Tortured animals.
Yeah.
Which I want to think the McDonald triad has been debunked.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly. I'm not sure on that. Don't quote me on that. I don't remember. I listened to a lot of podcast people. 100,000 minutes last year. Okay. But it's like bedwetting, torture of animals, and then there's another one, maybe like fire starting or something. I don't remember.
Yeah, like
which I'm like,
vandalism.
Okay, I kind of did all those things. Like, I only hurt one animal, and it was a really bad accident, and I felt terrible about it. For the rest, I still feel terrible about it. I didn't end up a serial killer, but okay.
Right.
I think it's different when you accidentally do it once and then feel bad about it, and when you're like, all right, well, this cat's done. Let me go get the neighbor's cat.
Right. Like you have no remorse over it.
Yeah. I accidentally was playing Smother the Kitty when I was like 7.
Right.
And accidentally killed a kitten.
Yeah,
and
you
I
like
felt like shit about it. I still feel bad about it.
Like you don't know any better.
Yeah, I didn't realize. I was like, I thought we were just playing. We were not. It was bad. Anyways, in 1879, Herman enrolled at the University of Vermont. He studied there for a year before transferring to the University of Michigan's Department of Medicine and Surgery. Keep in mind, y'all, this is the late 1800s. Pretty sure they still weren't washing their hands then. So,
right.
Despite the fact Herman was an average student at best, he graduated in June of 1884. While in school, Herman worked in the anatomy lab under the supervision of Professor William James Herdman, who was the chief anatomy instructor at the time. It is believed that these two began working together as grave robbers to help supply cadavers to medical schools. And this was actually quite common at the time. One of the most infamous tales of this is the story of Birkenhair, which I heard about from Morbid. They were grave robbers turned murderers who sold bodies to medical schools. I'll probably cover them, but Morbid did a great job, and I think and that's why we drink covered them too. So y'all go check them out.
Right.
At some point, Herman got married and fathered a child, but in 1885, he abandoned his family and moved to Chicago. First wife. This is where he adopted the name Henry Howard Holmes, or H.H. Holmes. But I'm a petty bitch, and we'll call him Herman this entire episode. Fuck you, Herman. While in the Inglewood neighborhood, Herman Inglewood? Wrong Inglewood. ran across a drugstore on the corner of Wallace and West 63rd Street. The owner, Elizabeth Holton, gave Holmes a job, and over time he would buy the business. He also purchased a vacant lot across the street and in 1887 began building a two-story mixed-use building. The first floor held shops, including a pharmacy, and the second floor housed apartments. In 1888, Herman was taken to court by the architects and steel company Etna Iron and Steel when he refused to pay them. In 1892, he added a third floor to the building, telling people it would be a hotel for the upcoming World's Fair. Thank God Ida didn't stay in his motherfucking hotel.
Right.
Okay.
For sure.
Bitch, could you imagine? Now, while many people believe it was some Winchester mystery house of death for attendees of the fair, there is not much evidence that he did lure fairgoers to his castle. While this is a popular theory for his actions, in reality, many of his victims were his wives or friends, and the motive was 9 times out of 10 money.
Yeah.
Money, 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 money. Like, he has a really, really. I always heard it was like some terrible place where there was like trap doors and like doors that walk like stairs that go into the ceiling and stupid shit like that. There was some stuff like he had like a gas chamber and stuff, but like a lot of it was extremely exaggerated.
Yeah.
Now, sources vary on the construction of his house. One thing they can agree on is that Herman would fire and hire workers and companies regularly. Many people believe that it was so no one would know the full scale of the secret passageways and torture chambers that he had throughout the building. But in reality, it was likely due to the fact that he just didn't want to pay people.
Right.
He was a penny pension motherfucker.
Sounds like a certain someone at the head of the government right now.
A certain someone that's like, oh, can you build my tower and then I'm not going to pay you for it? Can you build my Mar-a-Lago and I'm not going to pay you for it? And also, fuck you, Zelensky. No, fuck you, Trump. Yeah. Trump is a cunt.
Yes.
Fight me. I am not suicidal. I have no plans to run away.
Velveeta Voldemort.
This is the 1890s, and in case you weren't aware, newspapers lied hard and often. Yellow journalism is a term used to describe this time in history when the more outrageous and scandalizing a story, the more papers they sold. This was when fake news was at an all-time high. The construction of his house and even the true number of his victims is still debated today. Because they legitimately just fucking lied, bro.
Yeah.
Like Bailey, I love shouting out all these podcasts, but like Bailey's Dark History, she did a whole fucking episode on yellow journalism and how they just straight up lied.
Yeah.
Lied. Like, anyways. They's trying to let it happen again today.
I mean,
it's still fucking lying today.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Zelensky did not start a war.
No, he did not. Motherfuckers. No, he didn't.
God damn it.
Have you seen the AI that's been floating around of Zelensky like knocking Trump the fuck out?
No, but I would like to.
It's so beautiful.
I bet that's amazing.
I ran across one yesterday and I watched it like fuck.
You're like, fuck yeah.
He's just sitting there and he just whap, just fucking Trump just knocks out. And I'm just like, dude.
Imagine how hard he tried not to do that.
Do it again. Yeah, and then there was like one picture where it's like when they're like breaking the fourth wall and Zelensky's looking at the camera.
Well, the one before it, he touches Trump and he's like, no, like that's wrong. Like this is how it is. And
yeah. And JD Vance, I want to bitch slap him. I don't even want to hit him in the face. I want to use my open hand.
See that?
Because he's a little bitch.
That's where Zelensky kind of won because like he pretty much disproved every single thing JD Vance said. He's like, they're like, you got to use diplomacy. He's like, I did. And they killed a bunch of our people.
Right.
I've listened. JD's like, point, well, you didn't do it. Like, I don't know.
I've noticed that we have listeners in like other countries every week now, which like, hey guys, international listeners.
Hey, international guys.
Fucking amazing. Love y'all.
I love you guys.
If you could talk to your world leaders into like bombing the fuck out of our country and just wiping us off the map, I will be tribute. I will be tribute. I'm done. I don't want to be in this world anymore and I can't afford to leave. I will be tribute. I don't want my daughter to grow up in this shit. I will be tribute. Just fucking start a world war. We will be Germany this time. It's fine. Germany, y'all good. Y'all okay this time. It's us. I'll admit it. It's us. Talking about you're messing with World War III. I'm waiting for it. I'm praying for it. I'm manifesting it. Please, we need World War III so
I'm sure,
America can get its ass kicked.
sure America will have a civil war before then.
Um, After that little clip of what I saw, listened to this morning about people calling and saying the N words and harassing black bookstores and shit, they gonna keep fucking around and they gonna find out.
They will.
Okay? Okay. Back to H. Holmes.
Go
I'm
ahead.
so pissed off. What a fucking role. It's JD Vance. There's something about his little prissy ass. He's like a fucking toddler that I want to like put over my knee and just like spank him and be like, "Can you shut the fuck up?
Yeah.
Let me slap this eyeliner off your face." There's some men that look real good with eyeliner. He ain't one of them.
No.
There are 5 people who disappeared while in the company of Herman, and it is presumed that Herman murdered them. These are the 5 that he could be connected to due to his relationship with the victims. 31-year-old Julia Smythe moved into Herman's building and worked at his jewelry counter. She was married to Dr. Lawrence Connor but began an affair with Herman. Once her husband learned of her infidelity, he quit his job and moved out of the city. This left Julia and their 5-year-old daughter Pearl at the mercy of Herman.
Oh no.
December 18th, what? December 1891? Why does that sound weird? Sorry. Sometimes the brain just glitches and 1891 doesn't sound right, but that's what it is. Both Julia and Pearl disappeared.
Mm.
At first, Herman claimed that Julia had left unexpectedly to go care for her dying sister. Then he changed his story and tried to say she ran away to avoid her abusive ex. He would finally claim that Julia had died from a botched abortion. While Holmes had attended medical school, he was not likely to be trained in performing abortions, and at the time, mortality rates from such procedures were high. I've said it before and I'll say it again, banning abortions only bans safe abortions. They're going to happen regardless, so let them happen safely. Herman then claimed that he poisoned Pearl, and later, while they were searching his basement, they found a child's skull that they believed could have been Pearl's. In May of 1892, Emmeline Sigrand moved into Herman's building, began working for and having a relationship with him. She worked as his secretary due to her connection to a doctor who peddled snake oil he claimed could cure alcoholism. In the weeks before she disappeared, people who saw Emmeline claimed she seemed to have lost interest in Herman. She was last seen in December of 1892. Herman told her parents she had left to marry a man named Robert Phelps. Investigators believe that she may have been another victim of Herman's botched abortions. Her skeleton was found at the home of a Chicago doctor. M.G. Chappell helped them find her and would admit to helping Herman by articulating 3 skeletons for him. AKA, he took bodies and stripped them down to the bones and then made nice, funny, melodical skeletons out of them.
Yeah. Sold them.
Also, I was listening to, what was I listening to yesterday or today? I don't remember. I think it was yesterday. I was listening to Sinisterhood and they were talking about some movie where this chick was like in a vat and there was like skeletons in it. Was it The Poltergeist? Exorcist?
I don't
It
know.
was a different movie. But they were like, she thought they were prop skeletons, but they were real skeletons, she found out after
shit.
the fact.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And then they were talking about another movie where there was like baboons that were like trying to get into a car. And what they did was they actually stuck a baboon in the car with the 2 actresses.
Oh no.
And then like had the other baboons like attack the car trying to get to their friend. Anyways, weird shit you learn about on podcasts, folks.
Yeah.
In 1893, 24-year-old budding actress Wilhelmina Minnie Williams moved to Chi-Town, which is Chicago. While Herman claimed he met her at an employment office, it is believed he had met her years earlier in Boston while going by the name Harry Gordon. Just sounds gross. Harry Gordon.
Harry.
Herman offered her a job as a stenographer and she accepted. Over time, Herman was able to persuade her to sign over the deed to her property in Fort Worth, Texas, to a man named Alexander Bond. Bond. Alex
Alexander
Bond,
Bond.
aka Herman.
Hmm.
She did so in April of 1893. Then Herman signed the deed over to his friend Benjamin Pitzel under the alias Benton T. Lyman. In May of 1893, Herman and Minnie rented an apartment in Chicago's London Park. Minnie's little sister, Anna Nanny Williams, came to visit the pair in their new apartment. On July 5th, 1893, her aunt received a letter from Nanny stating she was going to Europe with quote unquote Brother Harry. She also wrote, quote, Brother Harry says you need never trouble any more about me, financially or otherwise. He and sister will see to me. I hope our hard days are over. End quote. Not
Hmm.
sure why I gave him a British accent since they're from like Texas, but whatever. It just feels like it because it's like the 1800s.
Our hard days are over.
Although Herman would use Minnie's name in future scams, neither she or her sister Nanny were ever seen again.
Hmm. Damn.
Yeah. Herman was suspected of many more murders than just these five, however. On April 17th, 1891, 61-year-old John DeBrule died in Herman's pharmacy after Herman poured a black liquid down his throat. Although foul play was not suspected at the time, it would be uncovered that John had a life insurance policy Herman benefited from.
Hmm.
In 1891, Emily Van Tassel disappeared while working for Herman at his drugstore. Herman would talk about her during his confession, and in 1897, her name was added to the list of suspected victims, as her mother believed she had always been. Kitty Kelly, a stenographer, went missing in 1892. John Davis from Pennsylvania went to the fair in Chicago and disappeared. He was declared legally dead in 1920. Harry Walker came to Chicago from Greensburg, Indiana, and wrote home to his friends that he was working for Herman. He went missing in November of 1893, and it is alleged that he had gotten a life insurance policy worth $20,000 that Herman was the beneficiary of. George Thomas disappeared in June of 1894. Herman would confess to his second wife that he and Benjamin Petzel had took the man out to the swamp on the Tombigbee River where they killed him and disposed of his body.
Hmm.
Milford Cole of Baltimore went missing after traveling to Chicago after they received a message from Herman to visit. Lucy Burbank was thought to also be a victim after they allegedly found her bank book and hair in a chimney flue at the castle.
Ooh.
The remains of two murder victims were found on a farm in 1919 that were believed to have been victims of Herman's. These bodies were found in Lake County, Illinois.
Wow.
One of the most well known murders of Herman's was that of the Petzel family. That's right. Even if you are his best friend and an accomplice in many of his murders, even you are not safe from Herman's schemes.
Jeez.
Herman met Benjamin Freeland Petzel when he was working in the chemical building on Dearborn Street. Ben was a criminal carpenter who was showing a coal bin he had invented at the exhibition in the same building. Ben would become Herman's right-hand man in many of his crimes. Though Ben probably saw Herman as one of, if not his best friend, Herman did not see him the same way. As a district attorney later described Petzel as, quote, Holmes's tool, his creature, end quote.
Hmm.
In July of 1894, Herman left Chicago as the insurance companies began to look at suing for, arson. Remember Minnie and Nanny? Well, the land Minnie signed over the deed to,
Mm-hmm.
well, that was where Herman would pop up next, in Fort Worth, Texas, at the intersection of modern day Commerce and 2nd Street.
Hmm.
He once again attempted to build a castle without paying for labor or goods. During this time, Herman was arrested and briefly jailed for selling stolen goods in St. Louis, Missouri. While in jail, he had a talk with Marion Hedgepeth, who was serving a 25-year sentence. Herman was in need of a crooked attorney that could help him fake his death and defraud an insurance company. He offered Marion $500 to point him in the right direction. Marion sent him to young attorney, Jephthah Jephthah. Jephthah Howe, who was more than willing to help Herman with his scheme. However, the insurance company became suspicious and refused to pay the claim. Herman chose not to push it, but instead wrote Ben into a similar plan. The plan was set for Ben to go to Philly and set up shop as an inventor named B.F. Perry. Perry would die in a lab explosion, with Herman in charge of finding a suitable cadaver to replace Ben. But of course, Herman could not be bothered to actually find a cadaver. Instead, on September 4th, 1894, Herman attacked Ben and set him on fire. Herman claimed that he had chloroformed Ben before he lit him on fire, but at the trial it was proven that the chloroform was administered after Ben was dead.
Hmm.
So he, like, burned him alive.
Jeez.
His best friend.
That's crazy. I wonder how he convinced all these people to take out insurance claims.
He was very charismatic.
Uh-huh.
Charisma. Like, it's
Here,
dangerous.
sign right here. It's just to give you $500 at the
I don't understand why.
but it's going to go to me and
Like, I don't understand how Petzel could, after helping him do all these other crimes, be like, yeah, let's do this.
right.
And think that, like, oh, it's fine. He's not going to kill me.
Yeah.
What?
Wow.
Herman was able to get the payout for the policy. Then he set out to manipulate Ben's wife, Carrie Alice Canning. Now, some have tried to claim that Herman's crimes stemmed from his need for money and his unwillingness to get a legitimate job. Oh, wait. Now, some have tried to claim that his crimes stemmed from his need for money and his willingness to get a legitimate job, or his motives behind them. And while I do believe some of his crimes were for this reason, I do believe that some of them were simply because he was a sick fuck.
Yeah.
The picture of an H.H. Holmes that went out hunting for victims and murdered hundreds of people in a sick, twisted ways within the walls of his murder castle has been somewhat debunked over the years, but there was some sick part of him, I believe, that got enjoyment from killing.
Sure.
Case in point with these next deaths. I do not understand what drove Herman to go to Carrie, talk her into allowing 3 of her 5 children to be placed in his care, and then going on this weird journey with the whole family, but separately. The 3 children,
weird.
yeah, right? Why?
Yeah.
The 3 children Herman gained custody of were Alice 13, Nellie 9, and Howard 7. Herman took these 3 children on a trip up into Canada, while at the same time he took Carrie on a parallel trip. At one point, the children and Carrie were only blocks apart before they entered into Canada. At the same time, Herman was also going back home to his current wife, who had no fucking idea what was going on.
Wow.
How he kept this separate and, like, his wives had no idea. I'll be like, where the fuck have you been, sir?
Yeah.
Where the fuck have you been?
For sure.
Herman would later confess that on October 15th, 1894, he forced Alice and Nellie into a large trunk and locked it. He then drilled a hole in the top and put a hose that fed gas into the trunk. He then took their naked bodies and buried them in the basement of his Toronto rental home. Back in June of 1894, while Herman was getting ready to flee Chicago, Philly PD detective Frank Geyer began to hunt Herman. He traced his steps all the way to the rental house at 16 Vincent Street in Toronto. Quote, "The deeper we dug, the more horrible the odor became, and when we reached the depth of 3 feet, we discovered what appeared to be the bone of a forearm of a human being." End quote. In the home, Detective Geyer found unsent letters that the children had written to their mother. This led him to Chicago and then on to Indianapolis to a rental home of Herman's in the Irvington neighborhood. Detective Geyer then found a pharmacy that remembered selling Herman drugs, which were believed to have been used to kill Howard. He also found a knife repair shop that had sharpened knives for Herman that were believed to have been used to cut up the boy's body. Howard's teeth and bones would be found in the house's chimney. Herman was finally caught on November 17th, 1894, after being tracked down by the Pinkerton National Detective Agency. The Pinkertons.
Huh.
Oh, yeah, the Pinkertons were... I love them and hate them at the same time. They were amazing detectives and they did some amazing, phenomenal work, but they were also known to be very aggressive towards the left.
Right.
So
A little racist, maybe.
he was initially held for an outstanding warrant for horse theft.
Hmm.
I love that charge so
Stole a
much.
horse. I gotta go see a man about a horse.
Something about the 1800s getting charged with horse theft in Texas that just like makes my heart so happy. He's stealing horses. Grand Equine Auto or Grand Theft Equine. They did this due to their growing suspicion of Herman's involvement with all the disappearances and death, and because he seemed to be getting ready to flee the country with his third wife, who again had no idea who she married or the fact that he was still married to two other women.
Right.
After Alice and Nellie's bodies were found in July of 1895, police and reporters began to investigate the Chicago building, the castle. And yes, reporters were all over this place and are the cause of the story of H.H. Holmes becoming the tall tale it has become. And yet, Herman would never be charged for any murders connected to the murder castle.
Wow.
The evidence found was circumstantial at best. Quote, a piece of human bones, possibly from Julia Connor, the remains of a child, possibly Pearl Connor, a burned gold watch chain and burned button dress, apparently belonging to Minnie Williams, and a tuft of female hair found in a chimney flue. End quote.
So he just incinerated everything, huh?
Mm-hmm. Now in 2025, I think this would probably be more than enough to get a conviction
I'm
with
sure
the technology that we have today.
we could DNA test it today.
But this was 1895. There was no DNA. There
No.
wasn't even luminol, so they couldn't see like if there was blood.
Right.
Like none of it.
Yeah.
So these things would not be enough to convict. However, Herman made one huge mistake when he got lazy and killed Ben instead of just finding a fucking dead body.
Right.
Herman went on trial on October of 1895. He was found guilty and sentenced to death. Following his conviction, Herman was paid $7,500 by the Hearst newspapers in exchange for his confession. In the confessions, he claimed to have committed 27 murders in Chicago, Indianapolis, and Toronto, and claimed to have attempted 6 more murders. Herman Webster Mudgett was hanged on May 7th, 1896 at Moyamiensing prison. Before his execution, he asked that his coffin be encased in concrete and buried 10 feet deep. Why? He was concerned that he was going to get dug up and dissected. Oh no, like you did,
Right.
sir. When Herman was hung, his neck did not break, and it took 15 minutes for him to strangle to death. His body was buried in an unmarked grave at Holy Cross Cemetery in Philadelphia. In 1914, the former caretaker of the castle, Patrick Quaylen, took his own life with strychnine, and by his body was a note. By his body, a note was found that simply read, "I couldn't sleep."
Jeez.
And his family actually said that he had been like haunted and having like hallucinations and nightmares of shit from that house.
Right.
The castle was damaged by fire in August of 1895. 2 men were seen entering the building around 9 p.m. and exiting the building about 30 minutes later. A gas can was found underneath the back steps. The building survived and was used until it was demolished in 1938. You know what sits there now, Bill?
What's there now?
Post office.
Right on.
In 2017, Herman was exhumed due to rumors that he escaped execution. Due to how he was buried, he was actually quite well preserved. Even his mustache was still intact because, again, he was encased in concrete.
Yeah.
He was positively identified as Herman by dental records and then reburied. During his life of murder and fraud, Holmes married 3 women, divorcing none. He had 1 daughter with one of them who went on to become a school teacher. Supernatural has an episode about Holmes, or the ghost of him, anyways.
Right.
Season 2, episode 6, No Exit. And I've started rewatching Supernatural, and I'm like really impressed with how much research they did for that show. I had no idea.
Right.
And that was, when did they start that show? Like 2000?
Something like that. Yeah.
2004. In 2004, they were doing hardcore research for that show.
Yeah.
So, Bill, I think you said H.H. Holmes was always your favorite serial killer.
Yeah.
How you feel about him now?
I mean, if I had to pick a serial killer, it would still be my favorite.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's crazy. Like I said, I wonder how he convinced all those people to do it.
I mean, it
other
really
than
is just like
just being a nice guy. But
that's it. That's it. Like, this was the
watch out for the nice guys, you guys.
1800s. He was handsome. He seemed like he had money. You know, he was building these buildings. He had all these businesses.
Right.
Oh, you need life insurance. Let's just sign up for that real quick. I think a couple of them he may have done like through his job. He put insurance on them through his job.
I guess I learned from this that he didn't kill as many people as I thought he did.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, that's the real fucked up thing about it is
they don't know.
We're never gonna know because nobody told the truth.
Yeah.
Like, everybody was exaggerating and they're just trying to sell newspapers.
They made lots of movies about it, like House of a Thousand Corpses, House.
Yeah.
The 1980 movie's House.
Season 2, episode 6, No Exit, Supernatural.
Yeah.
It is actually just like his ghost, and then they have to like cement him in with concrete. That's like
funny.
how they take him out in the end. And I'm like,
that's cool.
When I did the research, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. But they cemented him in, and he was like, I want to be encased in concrete.
Yeah.
So they got a dump, like a concrete truck, and poured that bitch full.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's funny.
All right. Well, guys, we hope you enjoyed this week's lesson. While H.H. Holmes may not be the boogeyman we grew up thinking he was still a sick, selfish man.
Don't let nobody make you beneficiary or make them beneficiary to your life insurance.
Yeah, if somebody asks you to get life insurance and make you their beneficiary, no.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Big, big red flag.
Very big red flag. Very, very, like, we have life insurance through his job and we're the beneficiaries of each other's life insurance. But like, I get more money if he got hurt at work. So I ain't trying to like take him out. Plus, like, I'm not a master criminal. So even if I did, like, I'd get caught real fucking quick. So
yeah, I don't think anybody could do what he did nowadays because yeah, there's just too much technology, cameras everywhere.
Yeah, and just like DNA.
Yeah, DNA alone,
like, even
would have
if
been
you,
a huge help for, catching H.H. Holmes.
Yeah, because I mean, all they had was like bones and teeth and stuff like that. But even with today's technology, they would have been able to figure out who it was.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. Well, we hope you guys all have a good week, and we will see you guys next week.
See you guys.
Bye.
Love you. Bye.